Every single day, we make hundreds of tiny choices about what to eat, and most of us never stop to consider the long-term impact those choices have on our health, especially our joints. Yet the truth is, if food is not just fuel, it is medicine. Think about it this way: if you put the wrong kind of fuel in your car, it doesn't just run poorly, it can break down entirely. The same principle applies to your body. When you eat foods that promote inflammation, like refined grains, sugar, processed oils, you are essentially pouring sand into your engine. But when you choose foods that fight inflammation, you are giving your body the high-quality fuel it needs to run smoothly, repair itself, and protect you from breakdown. And this is especially true when it comes to arthritis. The pain, stiffness, and swelling you feel in your joints are not random. They are signals, powerful reminders that your body is inflamed and needs the right nutrients to heal. Now, imagine for a moment sitting down to something as humble as a bowl of lentils. Most people see lentils as nothing more than a cheap source of protein or maybe just another legume. But inside those little grains are compounds that act like medicine. They are filled with antioxidants, polyphenols, and fiber that don't just support digestion, they actively help reduce systemic inflammation, the very kind that drives arthritis pain. When you're eating lentils, you're not just satisfying hunger, you're sending powerful signals to your immune system to calm down, to stop attacking your joints, and to shift toward healing. This is the difference between food as fuel and food as medicine. Here's the hook: many people believe that if they have arthritis, they are destined to live with it. That pain is inevitable as they get older. But what if that belief is completely wrong? What if the real problem isn't age but inflammation? And what if inflammation can be turned down simply by adjusting what you eat? That means the pain you've been living with doesn't have to be permanent. It means you actually hold more power over your condition than you realize. When you begin to see food as medicine, you unlock that power. Let's look deeper. Lentils, as just one example, contain magnesium, which helps relax the muscles around your joints and reduce tension. They contain folate, which supports nerve health. They stabilize blood sugar, which is critical because blood sugar spikes fuel inflammatory responses. This means that eating lentils is not a random act of filling your stomach. It is a calculated step toward reducing the fire in your joints. It's almost like you're taking a natural anti-inflammatory pill, but it comes packaged as food, without side effects, without dependency, and with the added benefit of nourishing your whole body. Think about how most people deal with arthritis. They reach for painkillers, injections, or even surgeries, and while those methods can bring temporary relief, they rarely address the underlying problem: the constant, simmering inflammation inside the body. But when you eat foods that work with your biology instead of against it, you are addressing the root cause. You're calming inflammation, reducing the immune overreaction, and allowing the body to restore itself. Food doesn't just keep you alive, it gives instructions to your cells. Every bite you take is like a message. The question is, what message are you sending? And here's the powerful reality: you don't need a complex plan to start. Something as simple as replacing processed snacks with lentil-based dishes a few times a week can shift your inflammation levels downward. But your joints don't care about big, dramatic gestures. They respond to consistency. Over time, those small changes compound. Imagine waking up one morning after weeks of eating foods that fight inflammation and realizing that your stiffness has eased, that you're moving with more freedom, that you're regaining control. That is the reward of using food as medicine. I want you to picture this: every time you lift your fork, you are either building or breaking. You are either contributing to inflammation or reducing it. That awareness alone can completely transform how you approach meals. Arthritis is not a condition that shows up overnight. It's the product of years of tiny, accumulated choices. But that also means healing doesn't happen overnight. It's built meal by meal, choice by choice. Each bowl of lentils, each handful of anti-inflammatory plant protein is an investment in less pain and more freedom. The beauty of this approach is that it's empowering. Too often, people feel powerless against arthritis. They see it as something that controls them. But food is the one area where you have complete control. You decide what you eat. You decide whether to send healing signals or inflammatory signals to your body. That means you hold the key to change. And once you realize that, the feeling of hopelessness starts to dissolve, replaced with motivation and confidence that your future can look different from your past. Let me leave you with a challenge. For the next week, approach your meals with this mindset. Don't think of food as just calories or just protein. Ask yourself, what medicine am I putting into my body right now? How will this choice impact my joints, my inflammation, my ability to move without pain? The more you ask those questions, the more you'll naturally gravitate toward the foods that heal. That shift alone can be life-changing. Because at the end of the day, food is not just about satisfying hunger. It is about transformation. It is about healing. It is about reclaiming your life from arthritis and proving to yourself that you are not a victim of pain, but a participant in your own recovery. When you choose food as medicine, you are choosing freedom, strength, and the possibility of living without constant pain. And that choice is available to you every single day, starting with your very next meal. When it comes to healing arthritis and reducing joint pain, most people think they need to make huge, overwhelming changes to their lives. They picture themselves giving up all their favorite foods, following strict diets, or spending hours in the kitchen preparing complicated meals. But the reality is, healing often starts with the smallest of steps. The kind of step you can take today without stress or resistance. Small changes, when practiced consistently, create transformations that are nothing short of remarkable. And here's the hook. Your body doesn't need perfection. It simply needs direction. If you point it in the right direction with small, powerful habits, it will begin to heal itself in ways that surprise you. Let's take an example. Imagine starting your day with just 2 tablespoons of chia seeds added to your water, smoothie, or even sprinkled over your yogurt. That one small change can deliver complete plant protein fiber. And most importantly, omega-3 fatty acids, one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories available. Now, on its own, that may not sound like a massive step. It's not a miracle drug. It's not a complete diet overhaul. But what it does is set in motion a chain reaction. Day after day, week after week, the omega-3s from those chia seeds start reducing inflammation in your joints, lubricating the cartilage, and lowering stiffness. What was once just a spoonful of seeds becomes a habit that can shift your mornings from painful to powerful. That is the strength of small changes. Many people give up on improving their arthritis because they expect overnight miracles. They want the pain gone in a week, the stiffness erased in a month. When that doesn't happen, they quit. But here's the truth: arthritis didn't arrive overnight. It developed over years of wear, tear, and inflammation. Healing it also takes time. The beauty is, you don't need to change everything all at once. In fact, trying to do too much too quickly often backfires. The key is to find one small, simple change you can make today and repeat it until it becomes part of your lifestyle. That is when results begin to compound. Think of it like planting a seed. When you first put it into the ground, nothing seems to happen. You water it, you nurture it, but the soil looks the same. Weeks later, though, a sprout pushes through. And as you continue to care for it, that sprout becomes stronger, taller, and eventually turns into a tree that provides fruit and shade. Adding chia seeds, lentils, or hemp to your diet may feel invisible at first, but over time the results become undeniable. Less stiffness in the morning, more flexibility during the day, greater energy, fewer cravings, and a sense of control over your body again. That's the reward of small changes. Now, let's flip the perspective for a moment. What happens if you don't make changes? Arthritis doesn't stay the same. It progresses. Inflammation continues to wear down cartilage. Joints grow stiffer, pain grows sharper, and mobility decreases. The absence of change is not neutral. It moves you in the wrong direction. That's why even the smallest positive step is so critical. It interrupts the downward spiral. It tells your body, we're moving in a new direction now. That shift is powerful. The exciting part is that small changes are easier to commit to. You don't need to throw out everything in your pantry or swear off every food you love. You start small. Add a spoonful of chia seeds. Replace one processed snack with a handful of walnuts. Try a lentil soup once a week. Each of these changes on their own seems minor, but together they build momentum. And momentum is what drives lasting results. The more small victories you stack, the more motivated you become to keep going. It's not about willpower, it's about building habits that support healing. Picture this: someone who has lived with arthritis pain for years starts adding chia seeds to their breakfast. After a few weeks, they notice their mornings feel less stiff. Encouraged, they add lentils to their dinners twice a week. A month later, they feel lighter, their digestion improves, and their energy returns. With that boost, they decide to include hemp seeds in their smoothies. Before they know it, these small changes have snowballed into a lifestyle shift. Without overwhelm, without strict rules, they've rebuilt their diet into a powerful anti-inflammatory plan that supports joint health naturally. That's how transformation happens, not through one giant leap, but through a series of consistent steps. Here's a hook that many people overlook: your body doesn't measure success in intensity. It measures success in consistency. You could make a huge effort for a week, eat perfectly, exercise daily, and then burn out and stop. Or you could make one small, sustainable change that you practice every day for a year. Which one do you think leads to lasting results? The second approach, without question, because your body thrives on consistency. That's why the small steps matter so much more than the big but temporary gestures. And here's where the mindset shift comes in. Instead of thinking, I have to give up everything I love, start thinking, what's one small thing I can add today that moves me closer to healing? That small addition could be the catalyst that changes your entire life. The person who sprinkles chia seeds on their breakfast is not just eating, they're creating a ritual of healing. The person who replaces processed snacks with lentil soup is not just cooking, they're protecting their joints. Those tiny decisions, repeated daily, build an entirely new reality. So let me ask you, what's one small change you can make today? It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be difficult. All it needs to be is consistent. Because those small, Consistent steps will carry you further than you ever thought possible. And when you look back months from now, you'll see that those little changes weren't little at all. They were the turning points that allowed you to reclaim your mobility, reduce your pain, and prove to yourself that healing is possible. One of the most damaging myths people believe about arthritis is that age equals decline, that once you pass 50 or 60, your body simply cannot rebuild itself. You'll hear people say, well, it's just part of getting old, as if pain and stiffness are mandatory. But here's the truth that most don't realize: your body has an incredible ability to repair, regenerate, and restore function at any age, provided you give it the right tools. And the tools are not complicated. They don't come from a pharmacy shelf. They come from nature. The real hook here is this: if you give your body the correct nutrients, even after decades of wear and inflammation, you can still stimulate healing. It's not about reversing the clock. It's about working with your biology to unlock its natural repair systems. Let me give you a vivid picture. Think about your joints like a house that's been neglected for years. The wood may creak, the paint may peel, and the structure feels weak. Now, if you ignore it, of course, it continues to deteriorate. But what if you bring in high-quality materials, patch the weak spots, and start reinforcing the foundation? Slowly, the house begins to strengthen again. That's how your body responds when you feed it with the right plant-based proteins, materials like hemp seeds, chia seeds, and lentils that don't just offer calories but deliver anti-inflammatory compounds, minerals, and omega fats that repair the foundation of your joints. Hemp seeds, in particular, are remarkable. They contain one of the most digestible proteins known to humans, edestin, which helps the body rebuild tissue efficiently. But here's where it gets fascinating. They also carry the perfect ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. Why does that matter? Because chronic arthritis pain is often driven by an imbalance of these fats, with too much omega-6 fueling inflammation and not enough omega-3 to calm it down. Hemp seeds restore that balance, acting like a reset button for your joints. On top of that, they contain gamma-linolenic acid, or GLA, which research shows can actively reduce swelling and tenderness in arthritis patients. Imagine eating something that not only nourishes your muscles, but directly tells your body to stop inflaming your joints. That's the power you have access to, even in your 60s, 70s, or beyond. So here's the hook: if you've been told that it's too late, that the damage is done, that you have to accept arthritis as your new normal, don't believe it. Science proves otherwise. That your cartilage can be supported, your inflammation can be reduced, your pain can be soothed. But it won't happen by accident. It happens when you make intentional choices with your diet. And that means choosing foods that double as medicine, foods that fight for you instead of against you. Let's go even deeper. Many people underestimate the role of protein in arthritis healing. They assume protein is just about building muscle, and while that's true, it's only part of the story. Protein provides amino acids, the building blocks for repairing not just muscle but also connective tissue, ligaments, and even cartilage to some extent. As we age, our ability to efficiently use protein declines, making it even more important to choose sources that are highly digestible and nutrient-rich. That's why plant-based proteins like hemp are so powerful. They are easy for the body to absorb, and they come packaged with anti-inflammatory fats and minerals that animal proteins often lack. It's like getting a complete repair kit instead of just a hammer. Picture this in your daily life. You start adding hemp seeds to your breakfast smoothie. At first, nothing feels different, but after several weeks, you notice the swelling in your fingers isn't as intense. You realize you're moving a little easier when you get out of bed. The pain that used to be sharp and constant now feels dull and manageable. You haven't taken a miracle drug, you've simply supplied your body with what it needed to heal. That's the beauty of this process. Your body does the work, but you decide whether it has the raw materials to succeed. Now think about the alternative. If you continue fueling your body with foods that promote inflammation, processed oils, sugary snacks, refined grains, your body never gets a chance to repair. It's like trying to build a house while someone is constantly tearing down the walls. No wonder the pain persists, but when you flip the script and begin supplying healing foods, the demolition stops and construction begins. That's why age isn't the barrier people think it is. The barrier is simply whether or not the body is getting the right environment to heal. Another hook to keep in mind is this: healing at any age is less about how long you've lived and more about how consistent you are today. You could be 65 and in pain but start fueling your body correctly and see dramatic improvements in months. Meanwhile, someone 40 years old eating poorly might experience worsening inflammation. Age doesn't determine your outcome, choices do, and those choices are in your control. So let me challenge you with this thought: if you are still breathing, still alive, still moving, even if painfully, your body still has the ability to respond to nutrition. It has not given up on you. The question is, have you given up on it? Too many people resign themselves to decline when, in reality, their body is waiting for them to make the right decision. Each bite of food is either accelerating arthritis or reversing it. That realization alone should spark hope because it means you have the power to change your trajectory starting today. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, waking up with less stiffness, walking more freely, enjoying activities you thought you'd lost forever. That future is not just wishful thinking. It's the natural result of consistently fueling your body with healing proteins and anti-inflammatory nutrients. Hemp seeds, chia, lentils, they may look simple, but they are tools of transformation. And transformation doesn't care about age, it cares about commitment. Every meal is a chance to tell your body, I believe in your ability to heal. Every small choice is a step toward proving that age is not your limitation. The only limitation is whether you choose to act. And when you act with consistency, you discover the truth your body can rebuild at any age. And arthritis does not get the final word in your story. Pain has a way of taking over your life. When arthritis sets in, it can feel like every step, every movement, every simple task is controlled by inflammation. You begin to organize your day around what your joints will or will not allow you to do. That's when frustration creeps in, because it seems like you are no longer in charge, your pain is. But here's the truth: inflammation is not a monster that cannot be tamed. It is a process, and processes can be influenced. The hook is this: when you choose the right foods, you are no longer a victim of inflammation, you become the one controlling it. You can take back power from the very force that has been dictating your life. Think about it this way: inflammation is like a fire burning inside your joints. Sometimes it's a small flame, sometimes it's an inferno, but either way it causes damage. Painkillers act like turning down the smoke alarm. They quiet the noise, but the fire is still burning. What you need is water to put out the flames, and that water comes in the form of anti-inflammatory nutrients, especially from plant-based proteins. Lentils, chia seeds, and hemp seeds don't just provide energy, they provide compounds that actively reduce the heat of inflammation. By eating them consistently, you're not just covering up symptoms, you're targeting the fire itself. Now here's where most people go wrong. They assume inflammation is random, something they have no control over. But inflammation is the body's response to signals, and those signals often come directly from the food you eat. Every time you eat processed sugar, refined grains, or unhealthy oils, you're sending the signal to your immune system to keep the fire going. But when you eat omega-3, rich seeds, antioxidant-packed legumes, and clean plant proteins, you're sending the opposite message. Calm down, reduce the attack, start healing. Food is not passive. It is active, it communicates, it instructs your body how to behave. The real question is, what instructions are you sending every day? Let me give you an example. Someone who lives with arthritis pain begins to replace their afternoon snack of chips or cookies with a small bowl of lentil salad. At first, they may not notice anything, but week after week, their inflammation levels start to shift. The constant stiffness in their knees begins to ease. The sharp pain that used to flare up after walking becomes duller. What changed? Not their age, not their genetics, but their signals. They stopped telling the body to inflame and started telling it to heal. That's how powerful food can be when used intentionally. Here's a hook worth remembering: arthritis doesn't just rob you of comfort, it robs you of freedom. The ability to move, to walk, to bend, to reach without thinking about pain. That freedom is priceless. But the same way arthritis takes that freedom away, the right choices can begin to give it back. Each time you add chia seeds to your meal, you're fueling your joints with omega-3s that work like natural lubricants. Each time you eat hemp seeds, you're giving your body gamma-linolenic acid that reduces tenderness and swelling. Those choices are not small. They are acts of rebellion against the pain that tries to control your life. Imagine waking up in the morning and realizing that you're no longer dreading that first step out of bed. Imagine climbing stairs without wincing, or playing with your grandchildren without worrying about how much it's going to hurt later. That's not fantasy. That's the potential when inflammation is no longer in control. The foods you eat can be the difference between days dictated by pain and days directed by you. Now, I know there's a temptation to feel hopeless. Maybe you've lived with arthritis for years, maybe you've tried medications, supplements, or even surgeries, and nothing seems to give lasting relief. But here's the truth. If you have not taken control of inflammation at its root through food, you haven't tried everything. Your joints are not crying out for more chemicals, they are crying out for balance, for nutrients that tell your body to cool the fire. That is something you can influence 3 times a day, every time you sit down to eat. It's important to understand that this isn't about perfection. You don't need to eat flawlessly to see results. What matters is consistency, because inflammation responds to patterns. If your pattern is high sugar, high refined carbs, and processed foods, the pattern of inflammation continues. If your pattern shifts to more lentils, hemp, chia, and whole natural foods, the pattern begins to reverse. The key is not to obsess over every meal, but to recognize the power of long-term consistency. That's when your body begins to respond in ways that feel miraculous. Another hook that should wake you up is this: inflammation doesn't just affect your joints. It affects your entire body. It accelerates aging, it damages blood vessels, It increases risk of chronic diseases. So when you take control of inflammation for arthritis, you are not just helping your joints, you are protecting your whole body. That means less risk of heart disease, less risk of diabetes, and a healthier, more energetic life overall. Every anti-inflammatory choice is an investment in your future health, not just your current pain relief. Picture yourself 6 months from now. Instead of letting arthritis dictate your routines, you're dictating them yourself. You're walking more confidently, you're experiencing less pain, and you're more engaged in life. That future is not decided by luck, it's created by choices. And those choices are right in front of you. Each bite of food is a tool, and when you start picking the right tools, you can rebuild a life that feels free again. Taking back control from inflammation is not just about less pain, it's about more life. It's about refusing to let arthritis tell you who you are or what you can do. You have the ability to calm the fire, to reduce the attack, and to restore balance to your body. And it starts with something as simple as what you put on your plate today. Think for a moment about where you want to be 5 years from now. Do you see yourself walking with ease, bending without hesitation, climbing stairs without pausing, playing with your children or grandchildren with energy and confidence? Or do you see yourself slowed down, relying on medications, avoiding activities you once loved, and quietly accepting that pain has become part of your identity? This is not just imagination, it's a fork in the road, and the path you choose depends on the decisions you make today. The hook here is simple but powerful. Your future mobility is not written in stone. It is being written every single day by the foods you eat, the habits you maintain, and the signals you send to your body. Arthritis does not decide your future. You do. Arthritis is not just about what you feel today. It's about the gradual wear that builds up over time. Every day of ongoing inflammation is like rust slowly spreading across metal. At first, it's a small patch, annoying but manageable. Over time, if ignored, it spreads, weakens the structure, and eventually makes it brittle and fragile. Now here's the good news. Just as rust can be slowed, stopped, or even reversed with the right treatment, inflammation in your joints can be controlled. That's why what you put into your body now matters more than ever. If you ignore it, 5 years from now, your mobility will be worse. If you act on it, 5 years from now, your mobility can actually improve. You have the power to choose which story will be yours. Let's bring this down to something practical. When you choose anti-inflammatory plant proteins like lentils, chia seeds, and hemp seeds, you are investing in your future self. Lentils stabilize your blood sugar and reduce the surges that fuel inflammation. Chia seeds deliver omega-3 fatty acids that lubricate and cushion your joints, helping to preserve mobility. Hemp seeds give you GLA, a rare fat that actually reduces joint tenderness and swelling. None of these foods feel dramatic in the moment. You won't eat a spoonful of chia and feel like running a marathon. But over months and years, these foods protect your joints the same way regular maintenance protects your car. Skipping maintenance may not hurt you today, but over time it will break you down. Taking care of yourself today creates a future of freedom, not frustration. Here's a hook to hold on to. Every bite you take is like a deposit into your mobility account. If you keep making withdrawals with inflammatory foods, sugars, processed oils, refined carbs, you're draining that account. Over time, it runs dry and you're left with pain and stiffness. But when you make deposits with anti-inflammatory, nutrient-rich plant proteins, you're building savings that you will rely on later. And just like with money, it's not the one big deposit that makes you wealthy. It's the small, consistent deposits over time. That's what secures your future. Now, think about the people who say, "I'll worry about it later," or "It's too late for me." That mindset is dangerous because arthritis does not pause while you procrastinate. Inflammation doesn't wait politely until you're ready to deal with it. It keeps moving forward. But here's the hopeful side. Just as quickly as it can get worse, it can also begin to improve when you start feeding your body differently. There's a saying that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. The same is true for your joints. Maybe you wish you had taken better care of yourself years ago, but today is your second best chance. And if you take it, your future will look very different. Let's imagine two people, both over 60. One decides that pain is inevitable, so they keep eating as they always have: processed foods, little protein, too much sugar. The other decides to make small but consistent changes. Chia seeds every morning, lentils for dinner twice a week, hemp seeds sprinkled into meals. Fast forward 5 years, the first person is slower, more dependent on medications, and their pain has increased. The second person is more mobile, their inflammation is under control, and they enjoy activities that arthritis once threatened to take away. The difference is not luck, genetics, or chance, it's choice. And that choice was made every single day through food. Another important thing to realize is that your body is always listening. It responds to what you do, not to what you hope for. If you feed it inflammatory foods, it will give you pain and stiffness. If you feed it healing foods, it will respond with reduced inflammation and improved mobility. You can't negotiate with biology, but you can work with it. And when you do, you begin to see that your future health is not random. It is designed by your current habits. Here's another hook that many people overlook. The habits you form today become the lifestyle you live tomorrow. If you start sprinkling hemp seeds into your meals today, in a year it won't feel like an effort. It will feel automatic. If you start replacing processed snacks with lentils today, in a year that will simply be who you are. Small intentional steps today become the natural rhythm of your life later. And it is that rhythm, that consistency, that determines whether arthritis limits you or you limit arthritis. So I want you to picture your life 5 years from now. Do you want to be walking freely, traveling, gardening, enjoying life, and doing it without constant pain? Or do you want to be sitting restricted, watching others live the life you wish you could still enjoy? That picture is not fixed, it is flexible, and you have more control over it than you think. Every anti-inflammatory meal is a brushstroke painting the picture of your future. Every bad choice is a brushstroke painting a picture you may regret. The canvas is yours. What do you want it to look like? The truth is, your future mobility depends on today's choices, and those choices are small daily and absolutely within your reach. Arthritis does not have to write the story of your decline. You can rewrite that story starting with your very next meal. And when you look back 5 years from now, you will thank yourself for the decisions you made today, because those decisions gave you freedom, strength, and the ability to live the life you deserve. Arthritis has a way of making you feel powerless. The stiffness, the swelling, the pain that shows up even in the simplest of movements. It all whispers the same lie, that you are weaker than your condition, that you cannot fight back, that this is simply how life will be from now on. But here's the hook I want you to hold on to. You are stronger than arthritis. You may feel limited, you may feel slowed down, but your body has not given up on you. Every single cell in your body is wired to repair, to adapt, to heal when given the right tools. Arthritis is not the end of your strength, it's the test that reveals just how powerful you truly are. Strength isn't just about muscles or physical force. Real strength is resilience, the ability to keep moving forward even when the odds seem stacked against you. And that's exactly what your body does every day. When joints are inflamed, your immune system is working overtime to repair them. When cartilage wears down, your body tries to rebuild and protect. The issue isn't that your body has failed, the issue is that it needs support. It needs nutrients, it needs balance, it needs you to make choices that align with healing instead of harm. That's where plant-based proteins come in, not as magic bullets, but as powerful allies that give your body what it's been missing. Imagine chia seeds for a moment. These tiny seeds may look insignificant, but they carry complete protein and omega-3 fatty acids, nutrients that act like warriors calming the fire inside your joints. Each spoonful is a reminder that even small things can create massive impact. Hemp seeds, with their perfect balance of fats and unique GLA compound, deliver ammunition your body uses to reduce tenderness and swelling. Lentils, with their fiber, folate, and magnesium, provide steady energy while lowering the inflammation that drives pain. These aren't just foods, they are reinforcements, helping your body fight the battle against arthritis every single day. When you add them to your diet, you're not just eating, you're joining the fight. The hook that should inspire you is this: arthritis doesn't get the final say in your life. You do. Pain may try to dictate your decisions, but every time you choose a healing food over a harmful one, you prove that you are stronger than the condition trying to control you. Think about it. How many people let arthritis steal their joy, their hobbies, their freedom? But you have the opportunity to say no, to refuse to give up what makes life worth living. Your strength lies not in being pain-free overnight, but in consistently taking steps that reduce pain and increase freedom over time. Now, let's talk about what being stronger than arthritis really looks like in practice. It looks like choosing lentil soup instead of processed fast food. It looks like sprinkling hemp seeds on your salad when it would have been easier to skip it. It looks like adding chia to your morning routine, even on the days you don't feel motivated. Strength isn't the absence of struggle, it's the presence of persistence. Each of these small acts is a declaration that arthritis will not define you. And when you repeat those acts daily, they build into something powerful: a body that begins to heal, joints that move more freely, and a spirit that feels more in control. Here's a powerful image. Arthritis is like a storm that tries to knock you down. Sometimes the winds are strong, sometimes the rain is heavy, but you remain standing because your roots are deep. Those roots are your choices, your habits, your commitment to healing. Every plant-based protein you add to your meals strengthens those roots. Over time, the storm may still blow, but it cannot topple you. You are stronger than the storm because you've anchored yourself in habits that protect and nourish your body. Too often, people focus only on what arthritis takes away. They talk about what they can't do anymore, how limited they feel, how life is shrinking. But when you realize you are stronger than arthritis, you stop focusing on what you've lost and start focusing on what you can build. Maybe you can't run marathons, but you can walk with less pain. Maybe you can't lift heavy weights, but you can lift your grandchild and enjoy that moment fully. Strength is not about being the same as you once were. It's about finding the new ways you can thrive despite the challenges. And that shift in perspective is what transforms not just your joints, but your entire outlook on life. Think about this every time you give in to arthritis and let it dictate your choices. The condition gets stronger. But every time you make a decision to eat in a way that heals, to move in a way that supports your joints, to stay consistent when it's easier to quit, you get stronger. Strength is built in the small decisions that seem unimportant at the time. A handful of chia seeds doesn't feel like a big win. A bowl of lentils doesn't feel like a miracle. But repeated over weeks and months, those small wins add up to massive transformation. That's the quiet, steady strength that outlasts arthritis. Now, I want you to imagine a future version of yourself, maybe 6 months or a year from now. This version of you is moving more easily, waking up with less stiffness, feeling more confident in your body. This version of you is not defined by arthritis, but by resilience, persistence, and healing. That version exists not as a fantasy, but as the natural result of the choices you begin making today. You are stronger than arthritis because you hold the power to shape that future. Arthritis cannot stop you from eating differently. It cannot stop you from choosing better. It cannot stop you from building habits that work in your favor. That power has always been yours. The truth is, arthritis is not your identity. It's simply a condition you are dealing with. And conditions can improve. Pain can ease. Stiffness can soften. Freedom can return. But it will not happen if you give all your power to arthritis. It will happen when you recognize your own strength and begin to act on it daily. Every meal, every choice, every step forward is proof that you are stronger than the pain you feel. And the more you act from that belief, the more your body begins to show you that it's true. So the next time arthritis tries to convince you that you can't, remind yourself that you can. When the pain whispers that you're too weak, answer with action that proves your strength. When the stiffness makes you hesitate, take one small step forward anyway. Because every act of persistence is evidence that you are stronger than arthritis. And in time, those acts of strength will transform not only your body, but also your life. You don't have to wait for permission for a miracle or for perfect conditions. You already have what you need inside of you. Arthritis may be part of your story, but it is not the ending. The ending is strength, healing, and freedom. If you choose it, starting today.